Alright, welcome back to another episode of this podcast. Changing it up today. Just gonna do a review of the past Sunday of football for the entire NFL. So we'll get started. Currently drinking some of my next Hofbrau beer, so if you hear some dead air, it's probably because I'm taking a sip. Alright, let's get to it here. Make sure it's not where. Alright. Just gotta make sure the app still works while I move over to ESPN here. Alright. Well, the week started out with the Carolina Tampa Bay game. Which was a weird one. Carolina actually lost to Tampa Bay for the first time in a while. I think it's been a couple of years. Even though Greg Olsen had over 100 yards receiving, Cam Newton went over 300 yards, but they kept the main man, Christian McCaffrey, under 100 yards rushing. Really under 50 yards rushing, which is insane for him. Normally he gets, everyone knows he's the dual threat back where, he can basically just be explosive from any point in the game. You either handed it off to him or doing something. So for them to be able to put a stop to his game is just a big bonus in their department. Big shout out to that defense in Tampa Bay for being able to hold them to that. Obviously Cam, it's not like at Cam numbers, 25 for 51, 333 yards. Not bad for him. I mean, yeah, he could have been more accurate with passes and stuff like that, but I mean, it's Cam. He'll turn it around at some point in the season, but he's just starting out real slow this year. On the Tampa Bay side is Jameis Winston, obviously, and Jameis went 16 for 25, 208 yards, and a touchdown. Now, if you're going to be a big-name quarterback, and if he's going to be the quarterback Bruce Arians wants him to be, he's got to pick up the amount of touchdowns that he scores, not through the air, but also running it. He's got mobility, but he doesn't, he's very mobile, but just, most of the time you just see him back there slinging it like a gunslinger. And then when he's back there just slinging it like that, it's like the first week where he basically was slinging it. And then if any of you listen to Bob Memory out there, there's one video where he took the one pass where he threw it to the corner of the end zone and nobody was in the corner of the end zone. Where he actually got intentional grounding on that play. Basically Bob Memory was like, oh, what's he doing? Throwing to his fucking imaginary friend? It's like, yeah, probably. I don't know what was wrong. What's wrong with him sometimes? But he'll either play like this, or he'll play like he did in week 1, where he was just terrible. So yeah, really good game by the Tampa Buccaneers all around. Panthers just need to learn to make sure they get their key players involved early and often, and also just come out explosive. They didn't come out fast. They came out very, very slow, very slow. Alright, well, secondly, since I'm just going down the ESPN list here. All right. This is the game I listened to. Obviously, I'm a Packer fan, so was the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Now, probably because I'm a Packers fan, you're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, he's just going to sit here and tell us how great the Packers did. No, the Packers did not play well. They did not play a complete game. They just went out to a 3-score lead and just maintained it for the rest of the half, but for the rest of the game. That's not how they win football games. Nowhere in hell do you win football games by only scoring 21. But when you have a defense like the Packers do, they were able to pull it out just because they were able to rely on their defense a lot in the second and third quarter to just dial it in and make sure they didn't really score until the fourth quarter. And Rodgers went 22 for 34, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's actually not great for him. I know how people are going to look at these numbers and be like, well, I wish my team's quarterback would have done that. Whether you were quarterbacks like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota doesn't really get the greatest numbers, or Jameis Winston, stuff like that. Excuse me. But here's the clincher: is that there are 3 star players in this game were Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Davante Adams. They all went over 100 yards in their respective categories. Aaron Jones went 23 carries for 116 yards. Davante Adams was 7 receptions for 106 yards, and that was not even trying. Like they weren't trying to get the ball to Davante. He just made himself open. That's how good Davante is. He's got these best skills in route running, and actually a lot of people, especially Xavier Rhodes, they asked Xavier Rhodes the week up until the Packers played them, who is your who are you most excited to cover this year? And with Davante Adams, because he just has he's got everything. He's got the route running, he's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got the hands, everything. He's got the build and he's going to be a superstar in this league for a long time. Aaron's very lucky to have that coming off of that thing with off of Jordy Nelson retiring. And also, being traded or being released and then picked up by the Raiders. But that's basically where you got to retire. So you got to retire in I guess it's Oakland right now. And then it's 2020, I think. And then 2020, you can start calling them Las Vegas Raiders. 14 for 32 for Kirk Cousins with 320 yards. And 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's big. Green Bay forced 2 interceptions off of Cousins. Also forced 2 or 3 fumbles off of Cousins. Cousins was a turnover machine in this game. Dalvin Cook, 20 rushes for 154 yards and 1 touchdown. Most of his rushing yards came from 1 play where it was a 75-yard run downfield. The rest of the time he was they basically just slowed him down pretty well. So that ain't too bad. Adam Thielen, 5 receptions for 75 yards. That's how bad Kirk Cousins actually played. Because if he played well, you would have saw a lot more of Thielen. Thielen was lighting up the Packers, but there's plays to be had out there that Green Bay wasn't guarding, that they could have taken advantage of, but they just didn't. You're just like, you just sit back and you think to yourself, you're just like, they could have made that, you could have made that play, but they didn't. So I'm just like, whatever, like, shit. Green Bay needs to be more consistent on offense. If they want to be a threat in the NFC, right now the NFC is wide fucking open. Drew Brees went down today, or this past week. I'll get into that in a little bit. I think they're down there, actually. Yeah, they're one of the last games I'm going to be talking about, but I'll talk about his injury down there. So definitely the conference is wide open. Philly looks like a team that can be beat. Chicago is a team that can be beat now, especially even with Khalil Mack. Even with that fucking great defense, they just don't have Mitchell. Man, they put all their eggs into Mitchell Trubisky, and Trubisky honestly is not showing anyone what a third year quarterback should be showing. He's not showing anything. He's just like, all right, well, this and this and this. Well, guess what? Fuck, man, you're not that good. So that happens. Let's go to the San Fran Bengals game. Bengals got blown out by San Fran here. Garoppolo throws 3 TDs and rolls over the Cincinnati offense. Or Cincinnati Bengals. Shit. But anyway, so Garoppolo went 17 for 25, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Their running back Breda or something like that. Yeah. 12 carries, 121 yards, no touchdowns. And D. Samuels went 5 receptions, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Andy Dalton was 26 for 42, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, pick. Joe Mixon was 11 carries, 17 yards. He's one of the reasons I won my fantasy game against my brother. And then Tyler Boyd, 10 receptions, 22 yards, and 0 touchdowns. So yeah, San Fran just basically just rolled over them in that one. Which, I mean, makes sense. The Cincinnati Bengals are really not that great of a team, so yeah, kind of. I guess you can say they're kind of rebuilding. All right, Chargers and the Lions. Matthew Stafford, always, this guy is just one of those guys that he just throws picks. He just, I love Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions for what they do on offense, what they do on what they just do in general. I mean, they're just a great I guess you can say they're a great scheme team, but execution wise they just never are able to play together with all the players that they have. Like when they had Ndamukong Suh, their defense was pretty solid in on the D line, because I think at the same time they had him, Ezekiel Ansah, they had this guy, they had this guy. You're like, this is a great defense. Darius Slay was still playing corner, was like a rookie year corner at that point, but still really, really good. They had everything, and they still had Callum Johnson, and they couldn't do anything. You're like, what the hell, guys? Like, I'm a Packer fan, but I'm like, dude, they've just been so bad for so long. You wish that they would be competitive in the division. So, with those games, because we play them every year. We play them once at the beginning of once like week 5 or week 4 or week 5 or something like that. And then the next time we play them is at the end of the year when there's implications for the playoffs. But it has been any implications for the playoffs for years now with the Detroit Lions. Most of the time the one year we sat on the players because the Detroit Lions were that bad. I don't think it was their only 16 season, but it was their think 2 or 3 win game. Then Phillip Rivers went 21 for 36, 293 yards and a pick. Stafford went 22 for 30, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Eckler carried for 17 carries, 66 yards and a touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown too. Kenyon Johnson had 12 carries, 41 yards, 0 touchdowns. Although he had a pretty sure he had a passing touchdown in this game, or a receiving touchdown. Yeah, he had a receiving touchdown. And then Keenan Allen went 8 receptions, 98 yards. Galladay went 8 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown. So, Detroit beat the Chargers 13-10. Actually, pretty close game there for them, but we're able to bring it to come out with the win. And then Titans home opener was, so let's see. Jacoby Brissett, 17 for 28, 146 yards. Marcus Mariota went 19 for 28, 154 yards and a touchdown. Brissett had 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Very good for someone who's trying to pick up the slack for injured luck. And I'll tell you, going 1 for 1 on your first 2 games without having first string reps during the entire, very good. It's very good. Jake Wilkins is a running back for Indy. 5 carries, 82 yards. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. T.Y. Hilton, 4 for 43, and a touchdown. Lane Walker was 4 receptions for 39 yards. So yeah, Indy just surprised everyone in this game, because nobody was expecting Indy to come out and even be competitive this year. I mean, a lot of people would have thought, Indy would just roll over and die, not be as competitive with the AFC. But they could probably, they still have a solid defense. They can probably cause a good amount of problems for most teams. Nick Foles is gone from Jacksonville, and what else? Pittsburgh lost Big Ben, and Patriots are still a powerhouse. Right now, number 1 seed now. AV just, freaking just made it happen. but yeah, the Colts. Upset a lot of those higher seeded teams in the AFC, especially teams like Houston, teams like Jacksonville used to be one. They used to be the first seed team. I think Baltimore might have a hard time beating Indy if they ever face them. I don't think they do this year. New England, Miami dominated. The Miami Dolphins sat Fitzpatrick halfway through the game because he was terrible. And then Josh Rosen came in and did no better. He went 7 for 18, 97 yards, and a pick. Tom Brady did his 20 for 28, 264 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Michelle did 21 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Antonio Brown, 4 receptions, 56 yards, and a touchdown. And, yeah. And the rest of the Miami team was just disgustingly bad. It's just, it doesn't get at this point. For a draft pick, you make sure your draft pick is good. That's all you got. Alright, well, let's go to the one that will actually cause a discussion here. Sorry, I had to sneeze. It was the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Giants. Buffalo came on top of that. They have the better defense, and to be quite frank, they have the better quarterback right now. Josh Allen went 19 for 30, 253 yards, and a touchdown. Thank God. Eli Manning was 26 for 45, 250 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Thank God. Frank Gore, 19 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Just great numbers for him, always. Cole Beasley is 4 receptions, 83 yards, and Fowler was 5 receptions for 51 yards. So, yeah, the Buffalo Bills, I think they're in the AFC. I think Baltimore can be a contender in the AFC. They have great young quarterbacks with unbelievable amount of talent. They just gotta find a way to piece everything together. You just need, you need that time to piece everything together. But you also need, if you're going to be a great team, you gotta have a really good defense. And I'll tell you, Buffalo's defense will surprise you. Will surprise many teams. Very opportunistic. Kind of reminds you of the Packers defense back when they won a couple of Super Bowls. Reminds you of the Eagles defense a little bit. Of a more talented and more suited defense for a championship than the Eagles were back when they won the Super Bowl. I know a lot of Eagle fans will be pissed off that I said that, but it's kind of the truth. Like, you guys, Minnesota didn't show up for the game, and you had a bunch of teams just not show up, and I think you guys didn't play the Saints that year because Minnesota knocked them out on a lucky play. I really feel if New Orleans went into Philly, Philly wouldn't have their Super Bowl because Saints would probably want that. No offense to Philly, you guys won the Super Bowl. Congratulations on that. Defending Super Bowl champs. I'll get to them later because to talk about Carson Wentz and all that. But yeah, Buffalo definitely a contender this year. I see them, they put a beating on the Giants. I mean, they didn't win the game. Like, teams that are not that good would just beat the Giants. But they blew them out, basically. Basically blew them out, 28-14. That's a blowout. What you said, I think that last score came late in the game for the Giants. So, yeah, it came. Let's see here. Yep, it came. Yep, fourth quarter. 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the rest of it was all Buffalo. So yeah, definitely Buffalo is the better team. And I think they're all do really, really well coming into the home stretch of the season. I hope to keep the momentum that they have right now to make it a really, really good season for them. Because I would love to see that Sean McDermott defense in the AFC playoffs. That would be great. All right. We got from the next one. We got Pitt versus Seattle. This game is interesting. My buddy is a Steelers fan, and Big Ben coming out with an injury. I mean, this guy's a Super Bowl MVP. I think he's I don't know if he's 2-time, but if you guys know, let me know. But I think he is I'm always thinking that he's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP because he's won 2 Super Bowls. 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Not sure about this thing about Super Bowl MVP either, but still, you had a Super Bowl MVP quarterback, and then who replaces him? M. Rudolph. He goes up against that Seattle defense and throws 2 for 19, or 12 for 19. Sorry about that. 12 for 19, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. It's pretty damn good. I don't even know where this kid's from. Is this a rookie? Yeah. So, he's going to take over as starting quarterback. If you didn't know, Big Ben, went out with I think, elbow injury. And then, he's going to have to, get surgery on the elbow. So he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So now, this guy, Mason Rudolph, will take over as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, from what I saw from him, he's pretty good. But their number 2 quarterback was actually Joshua Dobbs. But last month, Rudolph beat him out for completing 43 passes, which is 65%, for 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception during the preseason. And now he replaced Big Ben and performed efficiently. I would say. I wouldn't say he did well. I would say he played efficiently. James Conner, also a young player on that offense, played efficiently. He 11 carries, 33 yards and a touchdown. Juju, 5 receptions, 84 yards, very solid. Russ did what Russ does, 29 for 35, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Rashad Penny, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett, 10 receptions, 79 yards for him. Actually, Big Ben went 8 for 15, 75 yards before he got injured. But here's the big thing that is going to, I think, help the Steelers in the long run is that Mason Rudolph was a little bit more mobile than Big Ben. He did not get a single sack on him the entire game. As a rookie, that's really good, especially against that ferocious defense of pass rush that the Seahawks have. It's pretty damn good. And to come away with a loss on your first game, then you come halfway in, probably in a bad situation, and bring it back to being a 2-point game. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Well done, Mason Rudolph. You did a great job. And then Dallas Redskins, 30. Dallas won 31-21. I'm not even going to spend time on that because I that was just too much there. Dak 26 for 30, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Because Dak always throws a fucking pick because he's a terrible quarterback without Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott, 23 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. D. Smith was 3 receptions, 74 yards, 1 touchdown. Case Keenum, 26 for 37, very efficient. 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson, 10 carries, 25 yards, and a touchdown. T. McLaurin was 5 receptions, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Nobody cares. Cardinals. That's just a bad game in general. Lamar Jackson, 24 for 37, 272 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Very, very efficient. Both of these guys were. Kyler Murray, 25 for 40, 349 yards, no touchdowns. David Johnson, 7 carries, 14 yards, and a touchdown. I believe he had a receiving touchdown, too. Let's see. Oh, he didn't. That's my bad. Kirk, 6 receptions, 114 yards. Lamar Jackson also carried it 16 times and also ran for 120 yards. So, having a guy that can do both is pretty valuable. M. Andrews, I think he's a tight end, yeah. I think he's your rookie tight end. Born in 1995. Damn, he's born after. I'm older than him. I'm older than him. Very son. So he's definitely something around there. But yeah, great game. Baltimore Ravens, great job. Considering one the crap out of the people that are below you, but they didn't do that. Just win, nothing great, nothing to read into here. Just a solid win. And then the Texans beat Jaguars 13-12. The only reason is because they stopped 4.5-point conversion. Minshew, 23 for 33, 213 yards, and a touchdown. 6 carry, and he also had 6 carries for 56 yards. He was their leading rusher. And C. Conley was 4 receptions for 73 yards. Watson was 16 for 29, 159 yards. Carlos Hyde, 20 rushes for 90 yards. And DeAndre Hopkins with 5 receptions for 40 yards. And with those numbers, you're not shocked to see why this was just a hard-fought game by both sides. And just gotta respect that. There's nothing really to read into there. Raiders. Defending MVP, 30 for 44, 443 yards, 4 touchdowns. Fantastic. LaShawn McCoy, 11 carries, 23 yards. D. Robinson, 6 receptions, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr, 23 for 38, 198 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Chase Jacobs, 12 carries, 99 yards, 0 touchdowns. And Delaney, right? Oh no, Darren Walker. 92. Darren Walker, 6 receptions, and 63 yards. And Chiefs just rolled over. The Raiders did what they had to do. Won by 18. So, nothing big to read in there. Now, Chicago barely went over wrong. The Broncos only won by the last-minute field goal that they had at the end of the game. Like I said before, Chicago's just not looking good this year, and almost losing to Joe Flacco and the Broncos is pretty bad, because that offense is not very good right now. They need to clean that. The Broncos really need to clean that up. All right, and then Rams obviously blew out the Saints. Drew Brees goes out with a elbow injury, or not elbow, thumb injury. Getting them confused. Getting the injuries confused now. He goes out. Bridgewater comes in. Bridgewater does nothing. All the numbers for everyone just goes downhill. Pummels after that. It's hard for a quarterback to come in off the bench like Bridgewater did and continue to play at a high level. There's nothing really you can do on there's just nothing you can really do in terms of winning the matchups. But yeah, I mean, they hung in there. They just gotta I don't even know what they. I mean, they just gotta try to work. Sean Payton's trying to work his magic on offense. Trying to work a game plan that makes Bridgewater feel comfortable. Bridgewater is a completely different player than Drew Brees. He's not going to sit back in the pocket and deliver, deep passes down the field. He's one of the best footwork in the pocket. Put that guy out. Have the run game set up, play action passes, and stretch the field with Michael Thomas. That's the best you can do with an offense led by Teddy Bridgewater. Then last game, Philly versus Atlanta. Atlanta went down and scored a late TD on Philly. Carson Wentz played terribly. 25 for 43, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He was disgusting in that first half. He was so bad, I could not even imagine. And then Josh McCown comes in and slaughters the defense. I mean, just picks them apart. Gets them down the field. What does Dougie do? Has no backbone. No backbone. And Carson is a little bit greedy, I think, on this part. That he told Doug to put him back in. Now, Doug, don't allow him back in. Just tell him, hey, stay on the sidelines, come back in the second half, regroup yourself, come back in the second half, and then you can do it then. No. He puts them in right away. What's he do? Throw almost 2 picks in that 2-play segment. You're like, what? Why would you even do that? Why? Don't do that. It's fucking bullshit. Don't do that. You don't do that. When a quarterback, you go with a hotter hand. If you're a person that cares about your quarterback coach, about your quarterbacks, just make sure. Because Carson, I'll tell you, he just didn't look good away from home. And Matt Ryan was no better. 27 for 33, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 3 picks against a Eagles defense that struggles in the secondary. And Julio Jones was 5 receptions for 106 yards, and Nelson Aguilar 8 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Julio got 2 touchdowns. Like I said, Eagles It's wide open. It's wide open. Eagles don't look that great. They don't look too good at all. Well, yeah, these guys aren't defending Super Bowl champions anymore, but the Patriots are actually defending Super Bowl champions. At this point, I think the Patriots are probably more likely to win the Super Bowl again this year. But if they come up against a team with a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, or come up to a team, maybe even like a Drew Brees-led Saints later in the season after he comes off of his. If they go 500 with Teddy Bridgewater, they at week 6, or what is it? It's week 2 now, so 6 weeks from now. So on week 8, if they to go 500, they will still have a chance to probably secure a wild card spot when Drew Brees comes back. That's insane. And if they do, they're a dangerous team. Very, very dangerous. So, on that, I'm going to leave you guys. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, really, you want me to answer, just shoot it here in the comments, or, whatever. Have a good night, and I will talk to you soon.